Good?
Matthew is, I think, 5 games in a row now with a passer rating over 100. Can you just speak to the rhythm that you've seen him playing with the last month plus?
Yeah, I think he's done a good job in his preparation, every single week, and we're trying to improve that as we go through the weeks of playing different opponents and understand that, it's going to be different every single week, and we're going to have to attack it, hard every single week. So he's just done a great job with his preparation. I think he's doing a good job in game, understanding the game plan and what we're trying to do, and being obviously very efficient in what he's doing out there on the field, and doing a good job of just leading the offense. So just great overall. We just got to keep it going.
At what point did you realize Ziggy wasn't going to be available for Sunday?
I don't know, whatever we listed last week on the injury report.
Well, did he suffer a setback? Because he practiced all week, and it sounded like he was optimistic he might.
Sure. Here's what I'm going to say about the Ziggy conversation, just so I can answer all those questions up front. Ziggy's doing everything he can day by day to get out there and play, and when he's ready to go, he's certainly someone that we think can help us win, and that's the bottom line, is we're trying to win. So when we have anybody on our team that will help us win, we'll put them out on the field. That's all I'm going to mention about that. The rest of it is all, we document the injury report every single week. We update those regularly, and we try to put those guys out on the field every single day and to see what they can get done. So I don't really understand what the question is after that. Nope, that's it. I'm good there.
The film. What did you think of the game Frank Ragnow played?
Yeah, you know what? Frank did a really good job up front. I think the O-line in general, they did a great job trying to execute their assignments. That's a hard and difficult front to play against. Very much so upcharging front, so they get a lot of penetration. They do a great job of getting off the ball. He had some really good blocks. He had some plays that, he knows he could do better in. Had a couple really good dynamic plays downfield that were outstanding to see. But really all those guys, they did a great job with that challenge and understanding that it's a difficult front to play against. They do a great job. The wide nines, it's hard to get outside. It's hard to get the defensive tackles handled on the double teams. The linebackers are really fast. Kiko Alonso, he flows so quick to the ball. And those guys up front, they occupy those blocks, and then trying to get over the top of them it's difficult. So all of them was collective effort by all those guys in there. They all made some really outstanding individual blocks. There's a couple of blocks in there and some of those big runs. I think maybe I mentioned this before a long time ago about 5 guys trying to see the game through the same set of eyes. And there's one particular play where it was one of the big plays by Carry-On, and the 3 of them, the guard, the tackle, and the center all work against, 3 kind of penetrating style stunts that Miami had set up, and they just passed it off great. And it's really, that's very difficult to do. It was one of the backed up ones, I think, that we had that he broke out and kind of went up the right sideline there. So really good play, hard stunt to take care of. The 3 techniques stunted inside, nose guard wrap, linebacker came across, and they kind of pushed it all off from that standpoint. So really, really good play.
We all know the type of effort Jared Davis puts in and day out. This seemed like the most complete game he's played under you. Just wondering if you can see him, coming into his own within the scheme after a performance like that.
Yeah, he every single week, he approaches the games with a lot of attention to detail, a lot of focus, and a lot of determination to go out and play great. And he's certainly, he's a pleasure to coach from that aspect. He really does try to do a great job executing the game plan. Thought he did a real good job of just playing with great situational awareness this week. There's some pretty key plays in the game where he is covering a lot of ground. He's very fast. He can cover space. He hits really hard, tackled well, had some good run fits. So it was a good game for him to be able to do that in. And, it wasn't easy. They're really dynamic offense. They have some explosive players. They can get both horizontal and vertical on you very quickly. And so it was good. It was good to see him go out and execute those at a high level. But there's a lot of guys kind of working together there, too, that allows that to happen. But I think, again, I mentioned before, he's a young player. He's still learning the game. He's still learning what the NFL is all about, and there's a lot of things there that he can improve on. He can keep growing, and we just got to keep working and progressing towards that path. And, it was encouraging to see this weekend.
One of the things that T.J. Lang said to me after the game was nobody is celebrating in here. I mean, it was the greatest output of Lions rushing yards since 97 or something. And he said nobody's celebrating. A lot of us feel like we left a lot of yards out there. Is that part of the cultural mind shift that you've been working toward? And can you just talk how that impacts the team going forward despite a really solid performance?
Yeah, it's probably a good assessment, by him. I would say in general, where obviously the ultimate goal is to win. That's what we're trying to do. But it's good that those guys can then start to self-reflect in those situations and say, okay, we did some things really well, but what did we miss? What did we not have a great opportunity to take advantage of? And it's funny, because I mentioned it probably in the bye week. I think I was asked about coming out of the Green Bay game, maybe about short yardage, or the short yardage situation and how important that was during the Green Bay game. And I had mentioned, in fact, that look, that's great, but we understand that teams are going to prepare harder and they're going to do a better job in those situations. And something that may be good now, a couple weeks from now, is going to be much more difficult to try to achieve. And certainly, Miami was ready to go in those situations and they did a great job against us, made it really difficult for us to convert those. So we know that there was a good rushing output yesterday, but going forward, in Seattle and moving ahead, like those teams aren't going to let us do that. So we got to just tighten everything up and continually try to improve. So it's great when they understand that. Hang on one second.
Just to follow up on
Yep.
that. So with the notion that you want to be better in October, better in November, and even December, when you have a day like that, and
Yeah.
obviously those numbers are really impressive, how does the better than calculate?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're exactly right, and kind of what he mentioned, though, there are definitely plays that we see on film that we could have done a better job of. We could have blocked better, or we could have identified better, or we could have maybe done something a little bit different to get that just extra yardage that maybe was left out on the field. And we're always trying to make sure everything is done the right way, and so we'll critique all of it. And sometimes it might just be a technique thing. Maybe the play was blocked and it still gained yards, but from a technique or fundamental standpoint, there's some things in there that we want to improve on. Maybe it was pad level, hand placement, footwork, something along those lines. Again, it's really difficult in those types of plays where everybody's working together. We may get yardage, but maybe one or two guys is just a little bit out of sync, and you're trying to tighten those up as you move forward.
The run game, how do you measure efficiency in the run game? I mean, is it just yards per carry? Is there something else? And if there is a yards per carry element, does that change based on the type of run?
Sure. With the run game, it's tricky with that. I think if you just look at pure stats, you're not really getting a good picture of what the game was in general. So we might have a situation where, let's just say at the end of the game, we're trying to run the ball because we're really playing against the clock at that point. So we're trying to, eat some clock up. We're trying to run the ball. We're trying to be smart with the football in that situation. And it may be a 1 yard gain. It may be a 0 yard gain, which doesn't do much for your stats in the end. But overall, if you took off the appropriate time off the clock and, you were trying to do something there from a possession standpoint, then, that's a successful play, if that makes any sense from there. Certainly it's the same situation again, just going back to it, whether it's 1st and goal or 3rd and 1, if you get a yard and a half in those situations, is it great statistically? No, but is it a successful play? Absolutely, because you were able to convert either points or move the stick. So certainly, obviously, in general numbers, big numbers, if you can run the ball successfully for a lot of yards, then obviously that's what you're looking for. But there's some probably hidden numbers in there that probably don't come out in the final stat, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, Coach. So you've talked about using the whole roster before, and I just wonder about big players like T.J. Jones, 1 snap, 26-yard catch,
Yeah.
first down, Nick Ballore, block on a touchdown. How important are those players who don't get a lot of snaps, but the ones they get, they produce in?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's part of the game. We got to have 11 guys out there working together, and certainly TJ in his case, it was a great route, great identification by the quarterback of seeing the coverage, and it was a really good throw. There's kind of a small window where he has to throw that ball, and good execution in a situation where we were behind a little on the sticks from the previous play. And, he went out and executed at a high level. So certainly when those situations come up, we just obviously, whoever's in at that point has to step up and make those plays. And same thing with, Nick's another great example of a guy who's not going to have a lot of stats, but I'm sure, if we were productive at all, it's going to be a big part of what he's doing out there on the field. So, that's kind of the overall evaluation when you go through the film of everybody, doing their job in that scheme and what exactly it was that they needed to do on that play to make the play productive.
Well, what's your personal level of satisfaction after getting this thing kind of back on the rails after that start? I know you obviously have a long way to go here.
Yeah.
What's your overall personal level there?
That's probably a good question. I don't know. I just want to get in rhythm. Like I mentioned before, we come out of the bye week and you're trying to improve. You're trying to take a good look at, what you did in the first part of the year, the 5 games that we had, and then come out and try to play well in this first game back off of the bye. Certainly there were some really good things in the game. There's definitely some things in the game that, when I look at it, say, we got to get this improved. We got to fix this. Otherwise, this is going to be a problem going forward. So, we just got to go back and have another good week of practice and preparation and play better next week. Obviously against it's another week into the NFL season, so it's going to be a better team next week, and that's just what it is. So it's about us improving through the next, 4 or 5 days, getting ready for that game. So personal satisfaction for me is just really us going back to work and getting right back into rhythm of what we're doing.
The second and 7 play that you didn't take a penalty on, or where they had the penalty where you declined it,
Yep.
rather than go with 2nd and 17.
Yep.
Can you just explain the
Sure.
decision making?
Yeah, you know what? It was 2nd and 7. It was probably right on the edge. Probably 3rd and 8 is kind of what you're looking at from a statistical standpoint of decline the penalty, in that situation and play 3rd and 8 instead of 2nd and 17. It's right on the edge of it. Just thought we were in good field position. We had a good call. Kind of, we were playing all right at that point as far as what they were doing, and just thought we want to stay in rhythm in the game. Sometimes it's about how the guys are playing at that moment. So obviously hindsight wasn't really good on that drive they scored. So that's not a great decision by me. But certainly something that's right on the edge of, do we want to take the penalty or not take the penalty? And I thought in the moment that we were okay on the 3rd down play and try to keep the field position where it was. Miami's offense has some really big play receivers, some big play people out there. And some of those 2nd and longer situations become, I don't want to say more difficult to defend, but a little bit unpredictable as far as some of the space plays that they have dialed up. 3rd down, we thought maybe we were kind of knew what they were going to do in those situations and thought we could defend it. So didn't, obviously, and obviously, hindsight is 20/20 in that aspect, but it was right on the edge.
Why is that? Like
Just statistically, you try to just look at the numbers and say, all right, hey, where are we doing really well and stopping them and getting off the field, and where are they doing really well and converting, and some of those areas as far as where you say, okay, this is a high percentage. There's just certain markers you try to look at based on the team, based on where you're playing, what you're doing, kind of, and what you feel the situation is right there. So probably right on the edge of it, again, probably, hindsight, should have pushed them back.
The trade deadline's coming up. This is your first one as a head coach. You're obviously very busy each week preparing for an opponent. How do you handle that communication with Bob? Do you try to give him maybe some parameters of what to look for and let him do the legwork and bring it back to you? What's the communication?
I'm going to really say on this, what's good is Bob and I talk every single day, multiple times a day. So we're continually talking about a lot of things: current roster, practice, schedules, travel, meetings. We're working really very closely hand in hand through the entire process. So it's just open communication all the way across the board. Obviously, things that are happening in the league are a little bit more his world, so he'll fill me in on those because I'm kind of just dialed in on what we're trying to get done for, the week to week and getting ready to play the opponent. So we'll have those conversations and we just, we take them where they go from there. Okay. All right. Appreciate it.